Hello, this is Retreat Briefing, and today is Friday, it's April 19th. So today's thumbnail is Bitcoin halving D1. So will it repeat history? So according to the history, Bitcoin had three halving in the past, and after halving, it increased every time. So people are now arguing that whether after halving Bitcoin will increase or decrease. They are now having a fight. So let me have a look at all the sides' opinion, and then we will gonna look at our premium chart at final. So now let's start. So this is a daily chart for the Bitcoin, and it was around here, and now it had a rebound. So it climbed up from the triple top pattern right now, so it's moving slightly over here, and later I'm gonna mention about that. But there is a strong support line somewhere near 60k, so I think it is preventing a Bitcoin to fall more than that. So if that line stands stronger, then Bitcoin will probably increase, since we are having a halving and we got an Hong Kong ETF also. So there are kind of a lot of good news recently. So I probably think that Bitcoin will show good move if it holds over here. So this is a Bitcoin's premium chart at 4 p.m. today. So right here we got a rocket signal, which means that Bitcoin had a sudden increase, and now it climbed up over the Goya line. So if you look at here, I placed a white line. So this places tail, and this places tail, and over here this places tail. So we had a double rocket here, and also on rocket here it's all downward rockets and also here. So with this three big decrease, it just bounced off from here, so which is 59.5k. So if that line is acting like this, so we had a 3-time touching this support line, and it didn't break, and it bounced back up. So just like a triple top pattern, when this happens at the downward, so which means that in opposite ways, it had a 3 times support. So that is also mentioning a possibility for a rebound in a pattern analytics. So according to that, it might be a good news, but I think Bitcoin is now luring the investors with making this big increase. So I think you should wait until the halving actually made, and then we will gonna look at the price. I think that is a great idea. And now this is a dominance chart, and Bitcoin's dominance is keep increasing, and the Ethereum's dominance fell, and altcoin dominance also fell, and the Tether dominance now it's falling. So which means that the assets from altcoins and the Tether who were investing at the altcoins were now moving into the Bitcoin, since Bitcoin had a strong rebound. Now this is a Goya Dominance 1 chart starting from April 17th to 5 p.m. to today 4 p.m. So now the dominance point is 72 points, and that is, I think that is a very high number. And this proves that Bitcoin is rebounding, and the overall cryptos are now affected, so they are all climbing together. So if you look at here, this is a liquidation heat map for the last 24 hours, and the total amount is $291.61 million. So you can notice that from here, Bitcoin liquidated a lot of short positions, and Ethereum and others liquidated long positions, so etc. So if you look at the 24-hour rect, long positions are more than short positions. So right here, this dominance proves that all the assets are now gathering to the Bitcoin. So that made a decrease in the dominance and a decrease in the price. And now, but in recent 4 hours, all now started to liquidate short positions. So now they are following up the Bitcoin's increase. So if you look at the 4-hour rect, it's $59.4 million, and that's a lot for a 4-hour. And you can see that short positions liquidated 45 and long positions 14, so it's over 3 times. So liquidated a lot of short positions who were expecting a downward until halving. And now this is a liquidation heat map for Bitcoin. So look at here with a big drop in today's today's lunchtime. So it liquidated those long positions all the way down. So it tried to go down under 59.5k, but it stood here, and now started a rebound and a big increase all the way up to here. So short positions over here lying were all dead. So now it started to move in sideways. And this is a liquidation heat map for Ethereum, and Ethereum also had a big drop in today's about lunchtime, so it liquidated a lot of long positions and now started a rebound and starting to liquidate those short positions up here. And we still have assets over here, but it eventually failed to liquidate that, and now it's moving in sideways. And all the main events were done, and we have an FOMC speech left. And in Saturday we have the Bitcoin halving in East Asia time. And I brought an article that says the JP Morgan, one of the Wall Street giant, mentioned that Bitcoin will drop after halving. And there were several reasons for this opinion, and the first one is Bitcoin is still at the overbought conditions, and second, cryptocurrency price is still above the bank's volatility adjusted comparison with gold, and finally they note that venture capital funding remains subdued despite the recent crypto market resurgence. And since miners will get a huge impact from halving, they will get out of Bitcoin since it is unprofitable. However, while JP Morgan and the Goldman Sachs and many other banks expecting no rally, others expected that the history will be repeated eventually. So according to the basic supply and demand rule, when the supply goes down but the demand stays the same, then the price will definitely increase. And also the Eric Anziani, a CEO of Crypto.com, said that this halving will give a positive effect to the crypto market for a 6 month at least. And Bitcoin is a kind of asset that makes more profit when you own it longer. So those two opinions are now arguing with each other. And this is a RSI heat map. And if you look at the yesterday's heat map, it is still at the lower place, so it's under 50 points, and we can notice some green words. Now it climbed up over the 50 points and starting to move to the strong line since it is rebounding, but we are not sure until the halving is actually made. So I suggest you guys to prepare well, since the cryptos are at the middle part, we cannot know where to go. So now let's move on to the Goya Premium chart. So let's start with Bitcoin. So if you look at the dominance chart, so it peaked up to 72 points and now came a little down to the 50, and now it's 61 points in 6 p.m. in East Asia. And now the price just followed up the Bitcoin score chart, and now it is still moving above here. So the Goya line is urgently following up, and we had a rocket here and L signal and L2 signal all gathered in one place. So now Bitcoin is trying to recover its long downwards, but since it's before halving, I think you guys need to be cautious because they can drop it anytime. So if you press SR, so before 2 hours, the 65.18 would be a first resist line and second resist line. And if you click this support line, which I told you that there is a very strong support line, the 59.5k, that place is acting as a strong support line. So I suggest you guys to wait a little bit since it's before the halving, and halving is a very big issue. It's made every 4 years, just like in World Cup. So I think trading at this urgent moment, this big event before big event, is not a good idea since it can fluctuate a lot. And just like Bitcoin, Ethereum also fell with a rocket. We can notice that this time Bitcoin had an urgent drop, and now with an LB signal and L2 and those upward rocket once again from the Bitcoin, it increased back up. So now it climbed up and recovered 3.1k. And if you look at Ethereum might have another. Oh, Ethereum doesn't really have a support line just like on Bitcoin. So if you press SR, also 2 hours before, 3.128k is a first and second resist line, and the second and 1 and 2 buy line, which is a support line, is a 2.861k. And now if it goes down more, over here, it's not that far, it's made when April 14th. So April 14th lowest point is a final support line, and if that line breaks, Ethereum will go all the way down. But that breaking that line seems a little difficult, but yeah, I think it will follow how the Bitcoin moves. So Ethereum recently is following Bitcoin very well. And now if you look at Ripple, so Ripple dropped all the way down and increased all at the same place. So it's moving around the same place, so it's around 0.50. So I think you should think of Ripple as, I'm always saying that, as a long-term portfolio, and I suggest you guys to avoid a futures trade in Ripple since Ripple doesn't move a lot. But I suggest you guys to do a spot trade if you are gonna trade Ripple, since Ripple can increase regardless of the Bitcoin's movement, since Ripple has a power to increase and very useful for the future. So I suggest you to gather Ripple when it goes all the way down around to 0.4. That will be a very good idea. And finally, let's look at Dogecoin. And Dogecoin also moved slightly with the Bitcoin and dropped and increased. So now it surpassed this line. So it's moving over here, but it fell about half of this price. And I always mention that that is a one kind of technique, that long candle, if it's plus or minus, doesn't matter. It usually returns half of that. So now it returned. So it seems like it is going to meet the Goya line, which is climbing upward here. So maybe 2 or 3 hours later, it will probably meet the Goya line. And that is a once another important moment, whether it gets supported or get resisted. So if you press SR 2 hours before 0.155, is a first support, and second support around here, which started a big decline. And the support line is when it got a Bitcoin rocket down signal with an S2. This line is acting as a 0.138 as a first and second support line, and if it goes down, this plays 0.124, which is April 14th, I think. Yeah, April 14th lowest point is a strong support line, so keep that in mind while trading. And I suggest you guys to avoid trading for a while since it's before the halving, and that is a big event. That is what I wanted to say before the weekend and before halving. So I hope you guys to have a safe trading always, and thank you for listening.